Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today our setting is a little different. I thought it would be perfect for a little chit chat time. I usually do a lot of makeup tutorials on this channel, so I know people wanted to see something different and I wanted to do something different. So I wanted to do more of just story time videos, get to know me videos and other stuff. Of course, makeup is gonna be a big thing on here, but I thought let's change it up, let's do something different. So here I am in my chit chat corner. There's my paintings everywhere. I actually painted that a few years ago. You know, when you get bored, I think painting is a great way to just relax, chill, and kind of get your situation under control. So that's that. Today I wanted to film a video about something that I get questions a lot about in my personal life. Everyone always asks me about my story of how I moved to the United States. When I tell them where I moved, they always ask me why and how that whole thing came about. So I wanted to tell you about that. As always, if you are not subscribed to my channel, please do so. It means a lot to me. We're almost to 1,000 people here and that's amazing. Thank you so much for your support. But let's stop babbling because I just talk and talk and talk and talk. I've already been talking for like 1 minute and 40 seconds, but let's stop that and get straight to the story. So when I was a kid, I was obsessed with the Olsen twin movies, with all kinds of American comedies. I just loved American movies and I always had the dream to move to the United States. But if you are from Russia, from any other country, you probably know it's a big deal to move to the States. Everybody dreams about it, everyone wants it, but nobody knows how. And it's like the American dream. Every immigrant will understand me and know how hard it is and how important it is to somebody who's dreamed about it their entire life. So I was one of those kids who just from day one, I always knew I will be here and no matter what, I wanted to be here. I was studying English since I was pretty young, maybe like 7 or 8 years old, but the way you learn a foreign language in schools, especially Russian schools, is not that great. I mean, you know the grammar really well, but in terms of speaking and other stuff, it's really difficult to learn anything. So I kind of realized by the age of 11 that just regular school wasn't cutting it for me, that I wasn't learning what I needed to be learning. And so I signed myself up for extracurriculum classes. So after school, I would go about 4 times a week to additional English classes. Plus I did a lot of kind of self-work, homework, and studied on my own. When I was about 13 years old, I got an amazing opportunity to travel to New York City by myself for a month and study there, kind of like in New Jersey area, but it was, you studied from 8 a.m. to noon, and then from noon till whenever you kind of did whatever you wanted. And I got signed up for the program and I went and I was so excited. So it was my first time ever in the United States and it was my first time ever traveling by myself, like as an, you know, it was an adult trip. Now thinking back, I look at 13 years old and I'm like, how did I do that? But I feel like I always was very mature and it was never a big deal to me, but I was very excited. So I came to the United States. It was before I had a smartphone or any of that stuff, so I literally had just a flip phone, a paper map, and about $300 to $400 in my pocket for a whole month, which for New York City, to be there a month, $400 is not a lot of money, especially considering you're not like in the apartment with a kitchen and your own transportation or anything like that. So I stayed in New Jersey. There was a little college there that was shut down for the summer, and in the summertime they allowed students from around the world to come in. We only had about 30 people and all of them were already high school graduates. So they took that summer between high school and college to travel into the States and kind of do that program. So they were all 18, 19 years old and they were all from somewhere in Europe. I remember there was some Italian, some Spanish people. Yeah, it was cool, but I was the baby. I was 13. It was really hard for me to find friends or anything like that because they were so much more grown up. So my first week in New York City, I loved it. But I was a little lonely because nobody really wanted to spend time with me. It was hard for me to find friends. But it really didn't put me down. I had a little camera, you know, like a disposable. And then I had my little flip phone, and I didn't have a computer, so there was a computer lab. So I would go every night and send emails out to my mom about how I'm doing, how everything is going. I would send her photos because I couldn't call her either. I didn't have international calling. And then I had a huge paper map, and I would go around New York City with a paper map and kind of sightsee for myself. I wrote out myself a schedule of everything I wanted to see. I budget my $400 for a month. That way I could get to every point I wanted. So I would go to classes from 8 a.m. to noon, and then I would have lunch there, take the train. I think it went underneath the river if I remember correctly, but take the train to Manhattan and then kind of explore Manhattan until about 8 or 9 p.m. and then go back to New Jersey and spend the night. So I did that about for a week and a half, and then after that, a girl from Spain, her name was Mercedes, she was 19. She moved in with me in the same room, so we shared a room and we became really good friends. Her and her brother took me with them everywhere, and it became so much more fun because I had friends. We did everything together. They would help me out because I was the baby, but the rest of the month kind of flew by, and I was convinced. I always knew I wanted to be in the US, but after that point I was like, there's no coming back. I love being independent. I love being on my own. I love the freedom, and I was just like, this is the country for me. But during that trip I realized that my English was not it. It was not it. I struggled a lot. It was hard for me to communicate. I could say the basics, but I really couldn't hold a very decent conversation. So when I come back to Russia, I'm 13, kind of a school year goes by, I'm still studying. And then when I was 14, I found this program, and it was called a Northwest Exchange Program. You have to pass a test, multiple series of tests to be able to do it, but it's a very cheap, affordable way to go to the States, because if any of you know about being an international student, it's extremely expensive, and my family did not have the terms of the financials to be able to afford a normal travel. So I signed up for the first test, and I went in and I flaunted it. I did terrible. Like, I did not even went on to the second round of tests. I was so devastated. I was so embarrassed of myself. I knew my parents were embarrassed of me. Like, I just felt so defeated, and that kind of gave me a push and told me, like, hey, you're not doing enough. Like, if you want this dream to happen, you gotta work harder, you gotta do more. Like, your courses and whatever hour a day you're doing is just not enough. So I probably spent the next 6 months of that school year just studying my butt off. I would translate books, I would read scripts of shows, I would translate shows, I talked, I did everything. Like, anything you can possibly think of, I just did it. So I would come home from school, and probably until 11 p.m. every single day, all weekend long, I would just study. I was obsessed. I knew I needed it. I wanted it. And so that's kind of was my life for the age of 14 to 15. And so then I decided to retry myself again into the test. It was springtime when I just turned 15. I went ahead and I took the test. I passed the first round, and then I passed the second round, and then the third round was a Skype interview with a person in the US. So I did my Skype interview, I passed, and I was into the program. I was so excited. But the one thing was that program, it's very affordable. It's incredibly affordable. I believe it was about $5,000 a year for everything. That means school, board, food, all of it. If you know, I mean, $5,000 a year now, like, I can't live off that kind of money, but that program allowed you. And the way it did that is that you didn't have a choice of where you're going. Yeah, I wanted to go to New York City and do things like that, but you didn't get that opportunity. They sent you to the rural area of the United States, basically to the schools that are lack students, that would basically be shut down because they don't have enough students in that town. So they benefit from having plenty of exchange students come in. That way the school is large enough to have sports and other sort of events. So that's what happened to me. I was put into Paisley, Oregon. Paisley, Oregon is located in the southeast of Oregon, in the middle of nowhere, literally the desert. When I googled Paisley, Oregon, I saw nothing except like pictures of cows and desert. And you know, I was so excited, I didn't care. I was like, oh, I probably have the name wrong. Just background story, I'm from a city of like 6 million people, so I'm a city girl. That's all I knew. I've never been in the country, and so I just was like, you know, I have the name wrong, not a big deal, I'm going. I packed my suitcase. Can you imagine packing your entire life in one suitcase? It's tough, but yeah, I just packed my suitcase. I left Russia in August of 2011. I was 15. I flew to Paris and then Seattle, and then from Seattle to Redmond, Oregon. When I came out at the airport, it literally had just like dead sculptures of deer and I don't know, a bear head hanging on the wall, and I was like, where am I? Because it had one tiny, like, mind you, I was in the tiniest plane of my life flying from Seattle to Redmond. There was one tiny plane parked in the parking lot of the airport, and it was just the weirdest thing. Like, it looked like you were at like some weird ski resort or something. I don't know. Redmond Airport does not look like an airport, especially not the giant airport like LAX is that I'm kind of used to. So then there was a lady with like a little sign that said my name. So I found her, and she was like, yeah, I'm gonna give you a ride to where we need to go. And I was like, oh great, like how close we are. And she's like, oh, it's about a 3-hour drive. I was like, wow, I've already traveled for like 30 hours. I was exhausted, but I was like, okay, fine. 3-hour drive, I got it. So we were driving, she drove me in, and then we kind of pull into Paisley, and it was middle of the night. So it was pitch dark. I couldn't really see anything. So I was just kind of, whatever, I will wake up, we'll figure it out. She dropped me off, and I was staying at a dorm. So they had a dormitory for exchange students, because Paisley High School without exchange students would be probably like 20 people or something like that. So I think at the time I went there, it was about 40 was all of us exchange students. So I lived in the dorm with about 10 other kids. 10 of them were from other countries, and then I think 3 or 4 were actually Americans who lived too far away from the town, so they stayed at the dorm, and then there was the dorm parents and their kids that lived there as well. So I walked in, and the dorm parents greeted me, and some of the kids who were already there greeted me, and it was really cool. Like, everyone was super nice. They showed me to my room. We kind of had the boy floor downstairs and the girl floor upstairs. So I went upstairs, I had my room, I unpacked, and I was just very tired, so I went straight to bed. So the morning comes, I wake up, and I'm just like, whoa, where am I? Like, I realized that, hey, like, you are here, you're permanently here, you made it, and I got really nervous. Like, I got so anxious, I was afraid to come outside. I was like, I don't know anybody, I don't know where I'm at, like, it's scary, you know? I didn't have a phone, I couldn't call my mom. I mean, I could email her, Skype her, but you know, the time difference, I was just terrified. So I kind of laid around for a bit, and then I was like, you know, you gotta pull it together, get up, let's get that day going, let's figure it out. So I get up, and then first instinct I have is to look outside to see like where I'm even at, because I didn't see anything the night before. I opened the window, and I kid you not, there was just like a deer right downstairs in front of me eating like the flowers that were growing in the garden. I mean, I lived on like the 15th floor of a skyscraper my entire life, where it's just cars and buildings and buildings and cars. I've never seen a wild animal out of my window ever in my life. And here I am. I just see like desert and a deer. And I was like, whoa. that's gonna be interesting. So I went downstairs, I met everybody there, and so then a few of the kids, I think we had a German guy, his name was Eddie. He was really nice and he kind of gave me a tour around. And then there was a bunch of other really nice kids. Everyone were incredible. Like, it was such a good experience, but I asked him to give me a tour around town, and it's literally just like 3 streets this way, 2 streets this way, and then nothing around. I mean, it probably takes you like 10 minutes to walk from one side to the other side. But so they were giving me a tour, and I just saw desert and cows and desert and more cows. And I was like, wow, this is gonna be a journey. And it was. I ended up staying there for 2 years. I ended up coming back and graduating. And then kind of the rest is history, you know? It was an incredible experience. I would not ever trade it for anything else. Paisley School was so nice to me. The teachers were incredible. The community is amazing. I mean, there's only 250 people that live there, so everybody knows you by name. And even now, I mean, I haven't been there in probably a year, 2 years. Last time I was there was for my really good friend's wedding. And even when I pulled in, I was just walking around. Everyone still knew me. Everybody said hello. Everyone were excited to see me. It's crazy. Like, it's such a little big family, you know, and it's always been like that. So I kind of made it my mission to really learn and really get the most out of it. So I made an effort to play every sport, sign myself up for every activity. There's a play going, I'm in the play. There is a basketball, I'm in basketball. I mean, I'm the worst athlete that possibly ever to exist, but I even ran track. I mean, I not accidentally, but even ran 3K, which don't want to talk about it. But yeah, I made an effort to kind of make it my new life, and those 2 years there, I really remember was a lot of happy memories. So I was in Paisley from 15 to 17, graduated in 2013, and then I went off to college and work and doing other stuff in my life. But yeah, that's just a quick little recap of how I got here and how I got to the United States. I hope you like this little story time. If you want more videos like that, please let me know down below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!